I'd like to welcome you to the One Trail at a Time podcast. I am your host, Boogie. This is episode one, season one of my new adventure, and that is kind of recapping trips that I have been on and kind of giving you the insight of how I started, why I started, and where I'm trying to go with it. So, once again, I'd like to thank you. And let's get into it. So, I have been backpacking I started off going to campsites about 5 years ago, and that was it was quick, something I found out quickly I didn't want to do. I didn't really enjoy the campsite experience because it is definitely family oriented and loud, mostly loud more than anything else. That was the most disturbing part because you had people that were just out at all times of the night, and they were just there. They weren't hurting me. They weren't doing anything. It was just a little disturbing. So with that being said, I wanted to have more views. I wanted to have more options. And the only way to get more views and more options is to go out and go to different trails that aren't easily accessible outside of really hiking a few miles to get to them. And believe it or not, there is as much as the trails get used, there's really only a small group of individuals that really want to get into camping that way. So I found that even when people say that it's a busy time of the year, I still rarely see people, but I haven't really made it to these bigger trailheads either at this time, which get really, crossing over when people are doing through hikes and things of that nature. So, with that being said, I'm looking forward to getting out there and meeting more people on the trail. I am not right now, I hammock camp. I'm not married to it. I do want to get into back into tent camping as soon as I can afford to get another tent that is trail worthy. Right now I am using a hammock and I love it. I've been doing it for about 3 years now, and I haven't run into any problems location wise where a hammock hasn't worked for me yet. But in my future, I know that there will be times when a hammock it just won't work. So I'm getting prepared for that. But I started off with tents, so I still have a lot of that gear, sleeping pads, roll out mats, things like that. So I'm totally fine when it's time to get back into it. I'm not an ultralight backpacker, and I have made it past the stage of overpacking. I have tons of stories of first trips out in the middle of nowhere and quickly realizing that I brought too much and it was way too painful. That's probably a story that everyone that is listening has heard of and has been through. Lesson learned, message received, right? So right now my pack weighs right around, I believe it weighs at about 13 pounds before food and water. I really fine-tuned a lot of things over the years. Right now, this is my 3-season tent, 3-season setup. I'm using down quilt. I'm using down quilts. I'm using a relatively heavy hammock, but my tarp setup is Denema, so I'm light there. So I got some heavy components, some lighter components. My backpack is a Kelty Red Wing 50, and there are lighter packs out there, but I just cannot get out of my comfort zone when it comes down to how it's compartmentalized. And I really want to get away from it, kind of, sort of. Well, I really want to get a pack that's lighter, but I want it to still have the versatility. Uh, but there's a little bit of there's growth in this comfort, and it's time for me to get uncomfortable so I can grow. Other things about me, I also recently have gotten into bike packing, and I did that because I am developing arthritis in my knee, and putting those long miles in like I used to, man, it really beats me up. And I kind of got down, uh, I got kind of got down on myself about that, but I'm better now, especially since I bought a bike. If you if you follow me over from my YouTube channel, then you've seen my Rad Rover, my 2018 Rad Rover fat bike that I absolutely love, and it has given me new life. That and the GoPro, those two small things have really gotten me back into shape. Uh, so bike packing within itself was a totally different beast that I just totally had to kind of dive into, being that I was crossing over from the backpacking world. I had things, and truthfully, it's a little easier at times, but I mean, you go from having weight on your bike to, if you have to get up a really rocky terrain or something, or navigate your way down, then you gotta balance this heavier bike. So it's everything has its challenges, right? One of my fondest memories, I have two great memories that I can, well, three memories that I can say that have shaped me uh, to backpack in a certain fashion or camp in a certain fashion. The first one was the first time I went out. I've told this story on my YouTube channel, but just to kind of recap, my nephew, the dog, and myself went out to the woods. First time out, thought it was going to be easy. We went out in the early spring. It was cold, it was raining, and it pretty much rained the entire time we were out there, and we slightly felt defeated. I hate quitting. I hate quitting things on the first try. I will definitely quit on the second try if it's just not working out, but I hate quitting on the first try. So I decided that I was going to go back out one more time to see if I can have a better experience. And I went out, I guess it was the 4th of July weekend, and the weather just worked out. It wasn't too hot, it wasn't too muggy, it wasn't too cool. It was just right at that time of the year in Missouri, the Midwest where I'm at. It was just happened to be the perfect balance, and it was the 4th of July weekend. And that first trip, I really didn't mind. It was at St. Joe State Park. Well, this is my second time out successfully. But the dirt bikes were just driving me crazy out there. For those of you that aren't from Missouri, St. Joe State Park has a RV, should say a ATV trail or designated area. Also, they have a spot where you can fly your drones and airplanes, your AC airplanes, that sort of thing. So it's a really cool park. It gets a special type of person that come out there to that park. It's people that are out there in their Jeeps and they want to do mudding, and it's a decent park. It's really fun to go out. So if you have the chance to visit Missouri and you are into, you have some dirt bikes, you have some quads, or you have a Jeep that you want to push out on some mud mounds, that's the place for you to go. Uh, Coincidentally, every time I try something new, I always return to this particular park. That was the first park I backpacked, or that's the first park that I camped in. And it is the first park that I took my bike to bike pack in. So it's like the trail of first, it has a very special place in my heart. So anytime I feel like I'm going to give up, that's the place that brings me back to reality, because being from an urban environment where people said, hey, people like you don't do things like that, that was a park that proved to me that that's some BS and that you can do whatever you want to do and do it how you want to do it. So that was, that's kind of me in a nutshell. I don't like quitting unless it's a task that's just impossible to conquer or to complete. There are things in life that are like that. But one thing that camping has done for me is that it allows me to get, it allows me to push myself to limits where many people will never push themselves to. They will never get to a point to where it's a lot of people that won't go out and camp because it doesn't have the amenities, dependable running water, unless you go to the place where there's a river where there's dependable running water. There are hard roads, there are hard trails, there are bugs, there are animals. There is a lot of comfort in discomfort, but it is not a comfort level that they don't feel comfortable at that level. Therefore, they will not and they won't embark on that mission. So you can't really help that. But I don't judge them for it. But I wish they will, and I bet you it'll change their mindset in their life. Anytime I feel that life is too much and I need to reset my batteries, I just go out there. When I first started camping, I didn't know what I needed. I took a whole bunch of crap out there. Over time, I have really minimized what I need, and minimizing things on, living a trail life really helps you shape what you really need when you are in life, just in general, all the stuff, everything. When you are the thru hikers, I haven't made it there yet, but the thru hikers, I have a great deal of respect for. When they're making it from town to town, campsite to campsite, they got to they're out there for months at a time, and they have to take every day for what it is. It depending on what time of the season that they start. If it's going to be the rainy season, the cold rainy season, or just the rainy season, they're going to get caught up in storms and some really harsh conditions on the trail, and they keep pushing. And I feel that if they can do it, then I can do it. And I have, like I said, I have a great deal of respect for the thru hikers out there, and they really have shaped their lives and the things that they have on their pack for things that they actually need. And the creature comfort is just to give them some sort of comfort and relaxation and I guess motivation, and meditation while they're out there. And that's perfectly fine. And I have really cut back on the things that I take out with me. Being that I have my YouTube channel, Boogie-NN, I'm going to keep plugging it because there's no such thing as a shameless plug when you have your own podcast, right? So when the extra things that I carry, it's a lot of camera equipment because I want you guys to journey in on the trails that I have that I am on. I want you to be a part of that adventure, and I want you to have the best visual when it comes down to that. And people, when I first started going out there, it was kind of all about me, and then there were some influences that took me to the point of where I am as far as doing my videography stuff, and now even leading to this podcast. But that will be in the next episode when I talk about all of my influences that really sparked my YouTube ambitions. But that will be the end of this first session. Once again, I am your host, Boogie, and you are tuned in to the One Trail at a Time podcast. I will catch you in the next one.